I'm coming to a topic that's near and dear to my heart because as a high school principal I saw accommodations handed out at IEP meetings like they were candy. Regardless of students' handicapping conditions, they almost always receive time and a half in separate location to take exams. Did they need them? No, but the special educators in the room would always feel better if they were included in the IEP. As educators, I feel we need to use accommodations judiciously. I'm not saying we shouldn't use them because this is the way we level the playing field. It's like, would you allow a person with poor eyesight to take an exam without his glasses? Well, of course not. It's the same with any accommodation, but also we shouldn't be giving students an unfair advantage. So if a student doesn't need separate location, if that student, say, isn't distractible and can take a test in a large group, then we shouldn't have that on his IP. That is an unfair accommodation. So we need to be judicious about it. But we have to remember that the difference between there's a difference between an accommodation and a modification. This is one of your vocabulary in your own words, so you can take that out now. And make sure that if you're writing this in your own words, you just have to say that an accommodation takes an assessment or the curriculum and it teaches the same material, but there's a change in the timing, so a student may have more time. A change in the setting may have separate location, scheduling, response, or presentation. So it doesn't change the level, the criteria, or the curriculum itself. While a modification, on the other hand, that test or the curriculum is modified or changed. So, and this only happens for students with significant disabilities, and usually significant cognitive disabilities. Accommodations and modifications folder. Here's a reference guide for teachers, which I think you all should check out and download. So good stuff. It's from the Los Angeles Unified School District. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is alternate assessments, and this is also one of your vocabulary in your own words. Now, alternate assessments are only for those students who have significant cognitive disabilities, okay? So these are kids that are on the extreme end of the autism spectrum, students who are severely handicapped cognitively, and we know who those kids are. There's no way that these kids are going to take the regular state assessments. So they're based on the same grade level standards. It usually doesn't lead to a regular diploma, and it's usually some kind of portfolio or data folio that's given to the student over time. I'm trying to see what I have here. This is a link to the New York State Alternate Assessment website. You can get a lot of information here. So if you're working with that type of student, you should be familiar with this website. Some basic features are that it's a data folio assessment where evidence is collected based on a variety of documents and observation methods. All assessments should indicate mastery towards the Common Core standards and are first given when students are 9 years old, and then every year through age 14. Then they are assessed once more between the ages of 17 and 18. My wife works at the Center for Discovery in Harris, New York, which is right outside of Monticello. It's a day program and a residential program for severely autistic children and for students who are medically fragile. And this is a big part of their assessment, is that they give alternate assessments starting at age 9 for all students. And and they are given, it's almost like a task analysis, small chunks of the standards that they're supposed to master. So a good question to research would be, how and why do we make these students who are most debilitating handicaps take assessments aligned with the state standards? And that's a good question that you should think about, but in my opinion, all students should be working towards the state standard. The last thing I wanted to talk about is a formative assessment that I use in my live classes. And I want to expose you to these different kinds of formative assessments because these are strategies that you can and should use in your classroom. Most people know about exit tickets, and the stoplight method is a form of an exit ticket. You can see that the three different colored circles that are on the wall, and students are given post-its, and you can see they're fairly large post-its here that they can stick on the green. This is something I got, I understood. The yellow, this is something I'm not sure about, and you can describe why. And the red is, this is something I absolutely did not get. So it's anonymous. Kids just do it as they're walking out of the classroom, and you can gather those and use them in your next, say you have a do now where you're going to group students based on these exit tickets or this stoplight method. There is a video in the, let me go back. There's a video, I thought I had, I have a link here. There's a video in course materials that talks about, describes the stoplight method. You can see here the red one says, today my learning stopped because. So the stoplight method is a form of formative assessment that you can use to gather information about your students' learning. And so watch the video in course material. There also are two other videos in ancillary material for session 2 that are also formative assessment. One is the Think, Pair, Share, and I think I've mentioned this before. I think I even had it as a quiz question. And start with a do now. So those should be familiar forms of summarizing or activating student knowledge. An activator is something you do at the beginning of class. Summarizer is something you do at the end as a form of formative assessment. So those are also available. You should check those out. They're short, they're both a couple minutes long and well worthwhile. Okay, that's it for this session's presentation. Make sure you take the quiz, and good luck.